What's going on, guys? Welcome back to episode 38 of the Offshore Gamescast, Morning Edition.
Ooh.
I'm Dave.
And I'm Dylan.
And we got our morning voices on today.
Yeah, a little bit of a scheduling conflict. We are here recording in the morning. So the episode's a little late today, but it's okay.
Oh, it's fine.
It's okay.
Bright and early. Hey, you know what to say about the early worm? It gets eaten by a bird.
I'm going back to sleep then. Real quick, before we jump into our video game goodness, we don't normally talk about this stuff, but feels important.
It's weird to not. It's weird to just brush over some of the world's biggest conflicts right now, and just it's just really fucked up.
Even last week, as this was like becoming a thing, it felt kind of weird not saying anything.
Yeah.
So just our thoughts and everything are with the people in Ukraine and everything going on there. It's shitty. It's stupid. It's
just absolutely unfortunate and unnecessary.
Very unnecessary. And it's embarrassing for the world that this is even happening.
Yeah.
But our thoughts go out to the people dealing with this. It's terrible. Needless war and death and just stupidity.
Unfortunately, there really isn't anything much else to say about that.
No. So the always easy transition had something super serious into our goofy little chats about video games.
Yeah, that's always the fun part.
Let's talk about Elden Ring.
All right, let's do it. We're finally here. It's Elden Ring time.
Yeah,
and everybody wants to hear about it.
Everyone wants to hear about it because it's so fucking good.
I will say, I am only about an hour in. I haven't had a lot of time to play. I've had other games to focus on, and my buddy's been really. Yeah, I mean, thanks to him, I learned that Xbox Quick Resume will only work for one game on one person's profile, and if I did want to keep playing, that it would absolutely destroy his Quick Resume, and I do not want the brunt of whatever progress he would lose,
especially in a game like Elden Ring.
Oh yeah,
where it's not just like an easy walk in the park.
No, it's not a walk in the park. There's one thing that I remember seeing that I thought was fucking hysterical, and it was that I remember reading that there was a dungeon pretty early on. And when I think of like a dungeon or whatever, I think of like either a dark hole in the ground or like a cave or something, something that looks ominous. Yeah. And I walked over to this one spot, and it looked like I thought I knew what I was talking about.
Okay.
I go, oh, is this that first dungeon? Should I do it? Ooh, I'm not good at these games. I should jump in and see.
Yes.
It was a hole in the ground, and I just died.
Well,
I thought I was gonna do something spectacular, and I just hopped into a hole and said goodbye.
Was it at least in a cave?
No, it was just out in the open. I mean, it looked like a pretty like, hey, you should come check me out kind of hole.
Oh.
And I went and checked it out, and that was a bad hole.
It was a bad hole. Yeah, for those that are living under a rock, Elden Ring. It's From Software's open world game. It's out. This was the hype machine of the year.
The brainchild between Miyazaki and George Robert Rodriguez Martin.
That's the name. You look at him and you just see Robert Rodriguez.
Oh, I just think of Spy Kids.
Yeah. So this works so well as a format.
I said it before. I really do think I enjoy this approach to that Breath of the Wild style. Like, I find that much more interesting. I don't know if it's just my lack of time and passion for Zelda in general, but just the exploring around and just the little things that this game does have, I do find more interesting. Plus, when you come across an area and you're just trying to scope it out, and then this giant fucking dragon just demolishes an entire encampment right next to you, and I just go, well, I'm gonna hightail it and run.
It's definitely cut from the same cloth as Breath of the Wild, let's say.
Yeah,
but still pretty different in the sense that, like, Breath of the Wild, you kind of did get into your routine once you kind of knew what you were doing in the world, which is typically like, all right, I'm gonna climb one of these towers here. It doesn't do the open world thing where like it puts points on your map once you're up there, but like you're up there and you kind of look around and scope things out just to see what you can see, and then like, oh, I'm gonna go over there, and like a lot of times it's a shrine or you kind of like get in the groove of what to expect. Whereas with this, like, again, maybe this will hit that point too, but I'm 15 hours in and I'm pretty much exploring everything by foot because I'm trying to not miss anything, even though I'm sure I am.
Yeah.
And it's still that moment when I'm just exploring, like, oh, here's this cool ruin over here. There's some materials. I'm just going to gather these. And all of a sudden, a fucking boss that only spawns at night called Deathbird falls out of the sky. And it's just the most disturbing looking creature I've ever seen.
Oh, nice.
And, like, it feels more surprising.
Yeah.
Because, and I don't know if it is, like, so also...
I don't know. It feels to me, at least the few hours that I played of Breath of the Wild, that it's like, oh, here's the thing, and I'm like going in to explore, and like, you know, there's some things to do, but it feels like an Elden Ring. Like I'm going around and things are happening, and like things are like it is alive, and it's like, oh, I'm caught in the middle of this now.
So it definitely feels more alive because that was the other thing with Breath of the Wild. While it did have like more like villages with NPCs than Elden Ring does, which there are certainly NPCs you come across.
Yeah.
Like my favorite was I'm just running through this area exploring, and all of a sudden I hear a voice, and they're talking to me, and it seems to be coming from this bush, and I'm just looking at the bush and like, why does everyone act like I can't? They can't see me. I'm right here. Look at me. Am I that ugly?
That's funny.
And then only to find out that I had to dodge into them or hit them. I dodged because I didn't want to strike them.
Yeah.
And then the curse seemingly broke, and it was some sort of talking monkey creature that later was like, I gotta go get my stuff back from this place. They kicked me out. I already did that place, so I fast traveled back there, and he was just there all like beat up, like, oh, wait, you got it for me? And it was like, it's just weird shit like that.
Interesting.
Whereas in Breath of the Wild, like, if you're traveling from point A to point B, there's like environmental things or cool enemies kind of, but there is a lot of emptiness.
Yeah.
And this feels, if I'm going from like, if I put a point on my map of like, oh, I haven't been over in this little patch of grass or like this patch of land, I should say, I want to go explore. It is surprising when there's not something unique there.
Right. I mean, there is literally something like within minutes of just whatever you're doing.
Yeah, and sometimes it's even just like, here's random battles happening between like little groups of NPCs, which is doing a cool like world building thing to where it starts right. For example, and I know it's kind of like the Pokemon conversation. A lot of tangents are going to happen here.
Oh, yeah.
These two giants are like coming across this bridge with like two giant like swords. I don't want to say swords, kind of like spikes through their backs with a cart attached behind them.
Yeah.
So like dragging this cart. So I start fighting them because they're easy because they're attached to this cart. So all they can really do is stomp. They can't like chase you. Only to then start being attacked by like a couple of dudes on horses. Only then for like this undead kind of following to come behind them. And it's like, what is going on? Where are all these people coming from?
Uh-huh.
And as we kind of start to piece together, like, oh, these giants were carrying the cargo for these human knight dudes. And as you go further down the path, you kind of find out, oh, these undead dudes seem to be like kind of their servants or slaves because they're like digging through these ruins as like the knights are standing guard and watching over them.
So little old you went in the way of a caravan, fucked it up, and everyone involved was like, who the fuck is this guy?
Yeah, pretty much. And then they killed me a few times, but in the end, I was the winner.
Oh.
Yeah.
True tarnished.
But then there's... So another thing that really adds to this is Dark Souls games have always had like the player messages that are left.
Yeah.
And a lot of the times they lie to you on purpose.
Oh, yeah. They're just there to fuck with you.
Yeah. But I have found that super helpful in this world because it'll be like, I'll be entering a dungeon and there are these enemies where my swords are just completely bouncing off them so I can't combo. And one just says, try fire.
Yeah.
So I break out my torch and sure enough, I'm fucking them up now. Or,
it's almost like the game, like the community and it like builds its own strategy guide within the game.
Yes, no, it does though, because like that same bridge with the giants. Before then, there were those player messages. There were a couple. That was like, okay, but try at night. Try at night. So I end up exploring a whole bunch. And then I'm like, oh yeah, let's say to try at night. I'm gonna go there now. So I go at night, only to find, oh, here's this boss that is just like the fucking tree sentinel in the very beginning, but in all black, and the horse is all black, and it's like a more aggressive kind of version. And it's just like cool shit like that. Or
are all these people like elementary school baseball coaches just rooting for you the entire time? Like, hey, bud, you did your best. Try it at night. Trust me, you got this. We're gonna win this tonight, and then we're gonna go get ice cream right after.
Well, it's that, and then there's the people that say secret path ahead,
and then it's just death.
It's death, or there's nothing. But then you also usually have the 2 messages before it that just says liar ahead, or just liar.
Yeah.
So you get your warning of the liars.
Good.
So the thing that I also think helps this game, or is in this game's favor compared to like Dark Souls or Bloodborne, Sekiro, while those always had like, yes, you could take like optional paths through optional bosses and stuff. And this certainly has like, yeah, there's a main story for you to play through. If you get stuck on a boss in Dark Souls or in Bloodborne or Sekiro, you're at some point it's like, well, I have to grind this boss.
Yeah.
I can't. It's the only way through. I have to sit here and keep trying and trying and trying until I eventually get it. It is so much easier in this to just be like, well, I can't do this boss right now. I just can't. I'm under leveled for it, like the Tree Sentinel. Mm-hmm. And I went back to that Tree Sentinel so many times because I was be like, all right, well, I can't do this now. I'm going to go do something else because there's like 7 other bosses and little dungeons I know about.
Right.
So I can go do those instead. And then I come back way more leveled and the boss fight becomes easier. So you get like, it's still difficult, but it's so much more approachable because just the sheer amount of stuff there is to do. And it's a lot easier to grind if you want to.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's just an open world where enemies will, like bosses don't respawn, but enemies will.
Yeah.
So you can just sit there, fast travel to a point, kill a bunch of random enemies around there, fast travel there again, kill all the enemies again, and just rinse and repeat if you really wanted to.
Oh, I remember a game I did that in for about a few hours.
Dark Souls 2.
Final Fantasy 15.
Oh.
I went to this one area and I had this ring and it was almost like a one-shot kill for these like 5 flying enemies. But every time I went to go like fast travel back and do it, it would give me so much experience. And I did that. I just threw on like an album in the background and I did that for hours until I went back to the place where I could level up. And I think it must have been like a good few minutes of just leveling up constantly. And that was just like, yeah. And then I fucking destroyed the boss.
One thing that really helps, too, is playing on a PS5, or I'm sure on a Series X for you.
Yeah.
Load times are really good.
Oh, yeah.
So it does the thing where you die, and a lot of the times, like, the games where you die and quickly respawn are, like, a really hard, like, 2D platformer, but it's not a huge open world thing. Mm-hmm. But since it is on the new consoles, which, like, I can't... Playing on one of the older ones... with like a slower loading time feels like it would really suck.
Right. I mean, that's like the whole thing about there's so many people like me who just get so frustrated at just being so unskilled, impatient, and just like a sack of shit in these games where if it does take that long to go back to it, I'm even madder because I have to run all the way back just to die again.
I know that this is like an egregious example of load times, but imagine if this game had like Skyrim loading times.
Bruh.
How annoying that would be.
How I wouldn't play it.
Yeah.
How I would just gather dust. It's
literally like 2 or 3 seconds of a loading time and you're just right back in the game. And it's just like, all right, time to go try that boss again.
That's what's important for people like me.
Yeah. And I will say so far, there's been a couple like that Tree Sentinel specifically in the beginning. It was really hard. Overall, none of the bosses have been too bad.
Coming from someone who's good at these games.
Sure. I've played these games, but they're not, like, I would say up to this point in Sekiro, like, the amount of bosses I've done. The thing is, there are so many bosses. Like, so many bosses in this game. Mm-hmm. That, like, they're not all super challenging.
Right.
Like, some of them are only taking me, like, 3 tries, 5 tries, or less than 10, which, for a game like this, is not too bad. Mm-hmm. Like I just did one of the main story bosses and it only took me 3 tries because one thing they also do, so you have summons.
Oh, yeah.
So you can if you level up your FP, which is kind of like your magic gauge, let's say, or like your special
Faith
skill
points.
Yeah. You can get like better summons as time goes on.
Jellyfish.
The jellyfish sucks.
Oh no, dude!
I tried the jellyfish. It sucks.
I saw a TikTok where this dude got demolished by a wolf, and then the wolf just stood there facing the camera, and the fucking jellyfish slapped the wolf so hard on the ass. It was hysterical. I loved it.
I went into one boss with the jellyfish, like, all right, the jellyfish, let's try this one, because the wolves aren't going too good.
Yeah.
And it did nothing.
It makes me think of that.
Nothing.
It makes me think of the SpongeBob episode with the fucking king jellyfish.
Oh, sure, yeah.
I love it. My buddy actually just got the jellyfish, and he's been fucking going around this morning using it.
Oh, I've been all about the wolves.
Yeah.
I got this fucking...
I did see the video. You had your three little wolves going up against...
There was this... you can kind of go back to the very beginning of the game once you get a couple items and kind of unlock another dungeon. Mm-hmm. And you get this really good summon from beating the boss there. But my FP is not high enough, but I don't use magic whatsoever. So I'm not leveling up my FP, and I want this cool knight.
I should be able... I've been using a lot of FP.
So then you should be, if you did this dungeon, I mean, the boss was not the best there. That was one of the harder ones.
Mm-hmm. I chose, by the way, I'm a conveyor, I think they're called. They're like the magic healer because I need all the health that I can get.
Yeah. I am straight up warrior. As in, like... Well, literally, the class warrior, but I'm dual wielding 2 swords, 2 scimitars specifically. I've just been doing the Dark Souls thing, which a lot of times upgrading your starting weapon is like the best way to go.
Yeah.
Like in Bloodborne, I never changed my weapon. I always use that original weapon, and it was just kind of like the best way to do it. So that's kind of what I'm doing here, and I'm just full on. I'm in the boss's faces. Like, that's how I'm playing.
What are the special things that that character comes with? Because I have the magic healing, and I also have, I think, assassin's feet or steps or whatever, where I could just be walking, and I use that spell, and then my feet make no noise, and I could just be walking up right behind someone, and then boom, stab.
I don't know. I don't know what I just knew it was the style I want to play. I don't know about like special skills.
Interesting. Because I have like this thing that I hold in my hand, and then I can switch between 2 spells that I want to use. Yeah,
no, I mean, you do start with dual wielding, which when you're wielding 2 of the same weapons, you get like more special combos from it. So
maybe that could be it.
Yes, I mean, it might be that, because if I were to wield like a scimitar in one hand and a broadsword in the other, and I hit L1, instead of hitting with both swords, because they're 2 different ones, L1 will just like whack with the sword in my left hand, and then R1 will hit with the sword in my right hand, and you can't like combo as good.
Can you hit both at the same time and do like a sweeping?
Not that I could figure out.
Okay.
But if I'm wielding 2 scimitars like I am, I hit L1, and my guy will automatically with both hands kind of like swing both around and hit the mic. But you basically get 2 hits for 1 swing.
Okay, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, so I'm able to like deal heavy damage pretty quickly, which is like that's what I like. But you can also, on top of those summons that you can just kind of get that cost FP, that you can't just summon them randomly. It's kind of like when you're in a boss fight, it lets you do it. But a lot of the bosses, well, not a lot. I would say two bosses I've done so far. Well, 3 actually. I think you could summon someone. Editor Al was saying you could summon someone near that dragon. I did it without the summon.
I went right up to that dragon. Well, here's the thing. There was that little egg sac sitting in the swamp.
Yeah.
And I walked up to it and I go, what's this little thing? And I'm slowly creeping up. And then in my fucking peripheral on my left, I see this thing come down and I see the dragon and I go, oh,
yeah.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
And I was still very distanced. And he used his good old fire breath and just from as far away, what felt like a mile, just one shot.
Yeah. I was
burnt to a crisp.
Do you have Torrent yet?
I don't know what that is.
I
fought a few bats. Oh, fuck no. I don't, okay. I'm like an hour in.
That helps.
Yeah.
That helps with that, like with the dragon fight a lot.
Okay. I was fucking around a lot with a lot of goblins in the beginning. That's what I was fucking around with. Those stupid little shits.
Anyway, there are also NPC summons that you can just like, if you see a gold symbol outside the boss room, you can just like an NPC will summon. So there was one boss at the end of this optional dungeon, the one where the talking bush dude the went back and got his ass kicked, where you could summon this one like knight to help you fight, because it's one of those bosses where it's 2 stronger enemies at once. So having another one helps. And then it was the main story boss I just did. It was Roger.
Roger?
Yeah, well, it was Rogier. So I don't know exactly how to say it. But I was like, Roger, come on.
Oh, come on, Roger.
He was a sorcerer. But like one of the best parts of summons is that they will completely catch the attention of the bosses.
Yeah. So, and then you can just go and just stand right behind them.
Yeah, so like the wolves and stuff, and like even Roger.
That's so casual. And Roger. They die like pretty quickly. Oh, not Roger.
But yeah, they die.
Oh no.
It'll even tell you on your screen like
Roger's dead.
But you get to do like
Roger.
You get to do Roger. A pretty decent amount of damage. So like, yeah, my summons will be dead, but by the time like all 3 of my wolves and Roger are dead, I could have the boss like maybe halfway down its health.
Wow. I mean,
and then it's like, all right, I gotta do a phase 2 by myself. But
having that distraction is like just one of the biggest like advantages.
Totally, because they're swinging their sword, doing these crazy combos, and I'm just behind them, hitting them in the butt.
Yeah,
and it's great.
There was this one character or this one dude with a giant bow and arrow, and my buddy was on torrent just riding towards him, and is seeing the arrows fly by, and I'm just like, he doesn't do anything up close besides like stomp, so he's just slicing at his Achilles as he's running around.
Oh, was it a giant?
Yeah, and he just falls right over, and I was like, oh, poor buddy, that sucks for him.
There are still things that I've seen that I don't understand.
At least not yet.
As in like I go to one part of it's still early on, so like I'm 15 hours in, so this does the thing where you find map pieces, and that will give you like a portion of the map.
Yeah.
And when again, this is not like typical. It's more Breath of the Wild, where like you get this portion of the map. It's not like it gives you a bunch of map icons of like strong enemy here, dungeon here. You will get like a rough overlay of like, oh hey, there's this little pond over here,
like topographical,
right? Or like you can see like the top of like what seems to be a little building or maybe a little village, which kind of has you go like, okay, ooh, I want to check that out. And then you can like maybe north of that see it's just kind of like a patch of land that seems like that kind of like goes to a point and stops, which kind of makes you like, well, what's over there?
Yeah.
And it's always something. There's always something.
Perfect for ADHD brain.
It very much so gets you in the point of like, pretty much every night I've been playing this, which I've been playing it every night since it came out. It is just like, all right, well, maybe I'll just go do this thing over here.
Yep.
I just want to check out this thing here, and then we'll stop. But it doesn't end. But I am about 15 hours in, maybe 15 and a half, and I am still within that first map piece because there's just so much.
Right.
So much. And I'm just making my way through the castle now, which is like the first main dungeon, if you will. And that's where I fought that main story boss. And again, player notes, like there's the classic Dark Souls thing that does happen in this castle where you're going through this hallway and it kind of opens up, and sure enough, as soon as you enter this next room, there's an enemy directly to the left hiding behind the wall.
Yep.
But there's also a player note right behind that says left.
Yep.
So I already knew, and it still scared me a little bit.
The same thing happened to me. Those fucking goblins were hiding behind corners. I didn't like it.
They do that.
Mm.
I will say the thing, the negative I will point out, which is really, it's a technical issue. At least on PS5, there is a decent amount of popping.
Yeah.
Especially when you're on your Steed torrent. You
call me a Steed.
That's what they call it. Your Steed torrent.
You call me Steed.
It could be pretty egregious when you're on the Steed running around. It's just like kind of all over.
I've definitely noticed like certain pop-ins, especially with like lighting and like shadows and stuff.
Yeah. They did say like they said they're working on like patches for like those technical issues. But
honestly, boo fucking who.
Yeah, it's the type of thing where if this game was like bad, It would be just another notch of like, and it fucking does this too. But
it's almost like, well, it's the only bad thing I found so far. So
right, it is like that is literally the only negative I have to say about this game is that there's some pop in. Which when the game is so, it's like when we talk about Pokemon, the game is so good that the visuals at some point you're just like, I don't fucking care. It's so good.
Yeah.
So like when there's pop in, do I notice it? Is it a little distracting? Yes, but then all of a sudden I see Deathbird fall out of the sky. I can't. Deathbird is so not nice to look at. It's like this really big bird.
I actually have a boss bird in one of my other games that I was going to talk about.
Is it Deathbird?
Ancient Cock.
All right, no, it's not.
Yeah, no.
It falls out of the sky, which already is terrifying because you just hear the music and see a boss health bar appear on the bottom, but you don't know what's happening.
Right.
And then you notice it comes down from the sky. It is like a not quite skeleton, but almost skeleton bird body, where it's like kind of torn up. There's still some flesh and like a little bit of feathers.
So like almost like a decaying, like rotted corpse.
With a really like long tubey neck. So it's kind of like a giraffe neck that's kind of like bendy.
Like a heron?
I don't know.
Maybe. Think of like a swan that went to the gym and like actually kept up with their New Year's resolutions.
Okay, yeah, but like a longer neck.
Yeah, but so that would be a heron, I would say.
Sure.
Or a great heron. There's many different types of. You should talk to your brother about this.
I should. He's the bird guy. And then its head is just straight up skull, but it's like the skull of a baby bird with like a bit of a bigger beak. And it's just really unpleasant to look at.
Interesting.
Like, it was kind of the most, like, there's been some grotesque bosses I fought already.
Yeah.
But this was the one that was just like, I just kept saying how I don't like looking at it. And then when it start doing a move when you're under it where it's like pecking the ground trying to get you and just, no, it wasn't good.
I mean, good. That's what this game's all about.
Yeah. But like with this now, like I feel kind of bad because Horizon is good so far. It's not that it's bad by any means. Yeah. But like right now, I have no desire to play Horizon.
Dude, I am in the middle of so much shit right now.
I mean, that's gonna be the whole year.
It is, and that's why I feel just so fucked. I got Dying Light, which I've done nothing in. Mm-hmm. I got Elden Ring, which I've done nothing in. Mm-hmm. I've got Horizon, which I've done nothing in, and I have a game that I did do something in.
Yes, which we'll get to in a second. I just want to point out how this year already.
God, I'm telling it. This will be the greatest year in gaming I've been alive.
Just in the first few months, 2 months and a few days.
Yeah.
Pokemon Legends, Elden Ring, Horizon Forbidden West, Shadow Warrior 3,
Dying
Light 2, and that's not even including like some
Sifu.
Already cool like Sifu. I'm really enjoying Ollie World, like just the cool indie games that you get throughout the year. March just started.
Yeah.
We're like, this is just the tip of the iceberg for this year, and it's just like.
And 3 big ass fucking games got to release on the exact same goddamn day.
Yeah, it's
fucked.
How is it's crazy.
I gotta quit my job.
Well, but how do we fund the games then for ourselves?
We become American fugitives breaking in to GameStops and Amazon warehouses across the country.
All right, well, do what we got to do, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Anything to prove we're not a criminal.
We are not criminals. I promise.
So that's Elden Ring. It is definitely living up to the hype for me. I was excited. I didn't think I was going to be like this. It was going to be, it's all I think about. It's all I want to do. And it's all I want to talk about. It is like constantly like, I have the group text with like, couple of friends and my brothers and a few of us are playing. It is like ever since the game has come out, so almost a week now, it has just been dominating that chat. Because like every time I discover something new, and like a new boss kills me, I'm gonna be like, hey, did you guys find this boss?
Hey guys, hey,
do you guys know about this? And then like someone else will pop in with like a picture of like their dude. It's just like it's one of those where you just want that's where it compares to Breath of the Wild the most for me, where
Just like each other's shared experiences.
Exactly. You just want to talk with other people and be like, so did you see this? And no, I didn't see it. But did you go over there and do that? It's like it's just sharing those stories because there's so much that people are gonna miss things. Just it's the nature of these games. And then when you tell them, it's like I gotta go do that.
Those things are really nice. I do like those.
I am just like completely hooked on this game right now. Just completely.
I mean, it's still in the Xbox for me. It's still in there.
I wish it was crossplay. I want to play co-op with you.
Yeah, I don't know how it'll be just being alone after both of you said that you would help me out and help me along, and now here I am alone.
It's not that I don't want to. I literally can't.
I'm a fucking wide-eyed deer in headlights, and I'm just like, well, time to die.
So the good news is, Editor Al, who is quite the fan of these games, did say that he thinks like going with magic, so kind of like you did, is good. Because a lot of this game is about keeping your distance.
I love anything magic. I love mage builds and shit like that. So
I'm glad I ended up picking up the class that is all about getting in your face.
Yeah, I always like keeping my distance and doing that stuff. And I guess I'll find other stuff as I go on. But I always thought that healing was most important in these fucking situations.
Just so you know, you can, which is so I use no FP whatsoever. Yeah. So I don't use like the blue potion.
Yeah.
At a grace, you can allocate that.
I did. I have 2 health and 2 FP.
Okay. So I'm at the point now where I just have 6 health and no FP.
Right.
Which is, it's good. It's good. All right. That's Elden Ring. I could go on and on. I want to talk about all the scenarios I've experienced, but we don't have all day.
Right.
So you go.
I played the tiniest bit more Horizon, learned some more story stuff, realized that there's some bad things going on, took out a few enemies, did a dialogue option, and thought to myself, this bitch will not stop talking to herself.
No, she does not stop talking to herself.
I keep trying to immerse myself, and I feel like the situations that they're in, I'm like, no normal person would react this way. No normal person would talk to themselves like this. No normal person would do this or do that. And I'm just like, what's happening? Just let me kill more things.
It always kind of bothers me when the character talks to themselves too much or is just talking too much like to nobody in general.
Yeah.
But Horizon is such an offender in that.
Yeah.
Like it is.
If they
it's
did
beyond
a thing,
like kind of annoying, and it's just like it's to the point of just like this is completely distracting.
If they put like an AI in the focus or something, or did any companion stuff, they could have fixed that problem easily.
They could have. I probably would have hated the companion then.
I mean, that's why they got to work on it. Otherwise, I mean, everybody has like a companion and whatnot now. That's one of the trends going on.
That is true.
And it does. I mean, people are learning and it's getting better.
Mm-hmm. Horizon is bad with that. I'm still enjoying Horizon.
Yeah.
Did you see what I was saying? Where it like. So did you talk to like the people around Meridian and stuff?
I did talk to a few, and it did look nice. I still feel like there were some like animation things that were jittery, and I was like, really? Oh well, that's at least for me. I don't know. I'm like super focused on like how they move and whatnot, and like the small spit. I'm like that's not realistic. I wouldn't do that. This wouldn't happen. You know, this, that, this.
I mean, just like, to be fair, you are definitely way more observant than me.
Yeah.
So I do the plain just looking at it and going like. Yeah, that looks really good to me.
No, it's a blessing and a curse. I feel like an asshole when I'm like, well, this didn't happen exactly like this. And it's not like that big of an issue, but I definitely noticed it. And I'm like, I don't want to be a dick about it, but it's like, I noticed it. You know, I did. And it's like, it's there.
We're a good combo because we're both on just the opposite ends of the spectrum.
Yeah. Did you see this? No.
Yeah, you just notice every little detail, and I'm just like, bruh. No, I see people.
I see people. Well, I saw their fucking pores, and I saw how one was bigger than the other.
Yeah, I don't know what a pore is. If you zoom in real quick. What's a pore?
But that's pretty much what I did. It's been a very little progress sort of week.
It is the different type of open world game where,
it doesn't help that there are 3 large open world RPGs.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
All too close to each other.
And all playing completely different.
Yeah, oh my god, the amount of times in Elden Ring. So in Horizon you hit square to crouch and like stealth, and stealth is like can be a pretty big thing in Elden Ring if you want to go that route, which I usually do. Square is to use your item in Elden Ring, which I usually have on my health flask. So the amount of times I'm trying to sneak and instead all I did was waste one of my precious health flasks, I just go. Luckily, I'm at the point where I haven't played Horizon for like about a week now, and I've just been pure Elden Ring. That like I'm not doing that anymore.
Yeah.
But man, that was an adjustment.
It's hell when you're playing a game on the Switch for a while, and then you go back to any other console.
Well, it's the worst with Switch and Xbox because of the fucking X and Y switch, and it just I always do the wrong one.
Yep.
Always, without fail.
It's a pain in the ass, man.
Yeah, there should be a uniform. The controllers don't have to match, but at least use the same button layout.
Yeah.
Be easier for everyone.
Ouya.
X is a Ouya. Yeah, get on the Ouya train again.
God, no. We don't need Ouya as buttons.
So was that it? Was that Horizon?
Yeah.
All right. I have a quick one. Even though I started a new game, it's gonna be a quick chat.
Tell me.
Voice of Cards: The Forsaken Maiden.
Tell me more. Even though I know exactly what it is.
Remember that Voice of Cards game I talked about?
Yeah.
It's that. It's the new one that is not a sequel, but
it's like the Pokemon of the Voice of Cards games.
Yeah, it's another one
for some reason.
It has a whole different story and stuff. So like, there's that, but it looks like that game. It sounds like that. It's that game still.
You know how games have to be like talked about and like okayed and like greenlit years in advance? Imagine being Yoko Taro walking up and being like, all right, and everything is cards. And they're like, okay. And he goes, and there's going to be 2 of them. And they're like, what?
I think Yoko Taro after Nier Automata just kind of has like, I'm going to do this. And there's like, okay.
He's the Kojima, but he's not like the quiet, reserved, well-respected. He goes, I don't give a fuck. I don't give a single shit. It's what I want to do.
He goes into all the business meetings with his fucking Emil head on. Yep. How do you say no to that?
You can't.
I would say the couple of things I noticed with this. It's a new narrator this time.
Oh, yeah?
I was expecting the same. So, like, it is presented to you as, like, a tabletop game. So, like, you're, like, playing through this card tabletop game. Kind of like D&D, which is, like, it's a cool setting and a cool idea that I thought in the first one, like, over time, kind of wore off. So, presented in the same way again. It's kind of like you're doing a different campaign, if you will, of the same game.
Right.
It's like you're playing another D&D campaign. So the original narrator was kind of like a older, little bit raspy, but like calming type voice.
Give me it.
Wow. Nope. I can't.
How beautiful.
I was going to, and then it would be, I can't imitate it good.
I need to hear it.
Exactly.
I need to be immersed. I don't know what it sounds like.
I can pull it up for you.
You got to do it.
No.
Why?
Because every time I'm about to, I can already feel in my throat too much rasp. It's gonna come out too like.
What? Well,
no, you see way too much rasp. It's like a hint of rasp.
Yes, like this.
A little bit. Too much rasp still.
Still?
Yeah, it's
what are you talking about?
It's like a little hint. Maybe rasp isn't the right word, but it's just like a very little bit.
And the boat floated down the water.
He also had a way of, I don't know if it was an accent or just like the way he spoke. It was nice.
How'd he speak?
I don't know how to describe it. Boy, I'm good at podcasts where it's all about talking.
Fucking suck. Hey, Dylan, there is literally zero visual representation. Please tell me anything else. I cannot.
I can't.
Okay. Good job. Moving on.
It was kind of, I guess the way I would describe it is like the kind of like the tonal shifts are just like the pauses in the right places where it was like you were being read a story.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
New guy is the most generic, plain ass, just like, you were walking across the boat here.
Ew.
And, like, it's so plain and generic, just like fucking generic ass, like, white guy.
You have to use the bathroom. It was a number 2.
Yeah. Yes. And it just like, that immediately is like, I don't like this as much.
Boo.
And I did have, I'm sure the other voice of cards had a moment like this, but it was like one of the first actual decisions I had to make, because sometimes you get like a couple cards that have different decisions on them that you can kind of like pull up to peek at a little bit to see what your decision will do.
Right.
And especially towards the end of the first one, that had repercussions. Mm-hmm. My first decision was, I'm not gonna get into the story, but you have like this girl who is seemingly mute, washed up on shore, so you've been kind of like helping take care of her, like giving her a place to live and stuff. And she was sleeping, and she had like her notebook there, and it was like, your character is like, oh, you're expressing some curiosity. Like, do you read it? Do you not read it? And I was like, no, I'm not going to read it. And then the narrator goes, you tried to resist, but you just couldn't help. And I read it. And
that's not how choices are.
No. And it's like, that would be like in D&D, like me being like, all right, I'm going to go into the castle. And then the DM will just be like, you wanted to go into the castle, but instead you went into the bar and talked to the barkeep. And it's just like, that's not what I did.
First thing you say to the barkeep, how the fuck do I get in that castle?
Yeah. So it just like, yeah, it's not that first Voice of Cards game was like anything special.
Right.
But this one is like bad first impression.
Okay.
It's kind of like losing some of the good stuff about that first one for me.
They should have released this one first then.
No, because then I maybe would not have even played a second one.
No. That's true.
Brutal. But it's... I'm curious about the story. We'll see. Okay. It's something to do while there's nothing else on Switch right now.
Yeah.
But that's Voice of Cards, The Forsaken Maiden.
I started a new game that released, which I guess everyone already knows, is Shadow Warrior 3. Because...
What's that?
That's all I've been talking about. It is
Never heard of it.
It is the third game in the rebooted Shadow Warriors franchise since 2013. And it's interesting to see how the games have evolved since its reinception in 2013, moving from almost like that more Doom style, like classic-y Doom, into a like much more parkour based like looter, and now just like a big like Doom Eternal like arena fighter, just run around. There's a bunch of enemies, a whole bunch of stuff to play around with to kill them, and then you move on to like the next areas and arenas and stuff.
Yeah, the from the trailers they showed like before release, it looked like yeah, this is very much like a modern Doom.
But
like
in
that idea, in
the way that it is presented, it's exactly what I wanted. Like when I realized it was gonna just be more Doom Eternal in a way, but in like the skin that I really enjoy because I love the Shadow Warriors, then I was like, please just give it to me right now. And I was so upset when it kept getting delayed because it's like, son of a bitch. You get grappling hooks, you get all these enemies. You're basically just Doom Eternal, but what I wanted. And it is a lot of fun so far. I do think the graphics maybe could be a little better. There are some parts that don't shine as much, but in a game like this, that's not the big deal. You're moving so fast anyway.
I was gonna say, like, is like your frame rate dropping at all? Because that seems way more important in a game like this. So, like, yeah. I definitely had to play around with the controls to get comfortable to a point with the sensitivity. But once I got there, I was making my moves, jumping around, and it feels really good so far. And the story is fantastic because Lo Wang is back, being absolutely the most disheveled like sack of shit that he's been so far. He's such a cocky, like self-obsessed in like in like a way that he loves himself outwardly, maybe not so much inwardly, and just like the things that he says and does in the references throughout the game are just right up my fucking alley with the things that he says. To, the other day where I was literally just walking around going, no, hip hop, a hibby do the hip hop, and I was just kind of like doing that. I don't remember, no.
I was doing that at work in the middle of a fight, Lo Wang, and to it a hip hop, a hibby, and I'm just like, this fucking guy. It's literally just me running around, and some of the references and the jokes that he made are hysterical. He's in like this fucked up, what he calls his Wang cave, his little hideout, and there's this giant dragon, like 10,000-year-old dragon flying around. That's like the big enemy that he's got to take out. And he is just talking to Hoji's mask, who is his dead demon buddy from the first game. And just like in his underwear and like a wife beater walking around, just like swinging his sword places, retelling the story and just like falling apart. And then talking about Zilla, who's like, he's probably dead, and all this other stuff, when Zilla's just standing right behind him, watching him jump around in his underwear, like his tighty whities. And I'm just like, I love this character so much. He's so fucking stupid, and he doesn't give a shit. And I think it's perfect. But it got even more perfect.
Oh, okay.
When they brought Hoji back. And now Hoji's back, and we got both Lo Wang and Hoji, and they're talking back and forth, and it's so nice to have my buddy back. They're just the two best of friends.
I don't know who Hoji is.
Hoji, so he's the mask that Lo Wang carries around.
That's Jim Carrey.
No. Think of Mimir.
That's a head.
But Mimir was a mask, and then once he got in touch with the Earth's or the world's chi, he was able to come back because he wasn't dead. He was just merely sleeping this whole time without knowing. But he's back now.
I hate when I think someone's dead, but they were just sleeping.
But the scene that played when the like revival came back was just that kind of like parody that I thought was hysterical, because in the cutscene, Lo Wang is sitting in a hot spring the exact same way Geralt does in the bathtub in the games.
Yeah,
but he has
feet up and like legs spread,
almost one for one, exactly like that. But he has this massive black bar on his crotch, and as he's like getting up, looking at it, Hoji is like coming back and like materializing, and he like lands in like the Terminator pose. And he's like forming, and at Lo Wang's just getting closer, just cock out and everything. And he goes, buddy. And he goes to give him a hug. And he goes, whoa, whoa, whoa. You know, thank you for everything you did, but I don't want to hug naked right now. And it's just, I don't know. I love them. And they're just so great to have them back and just their banter as it goes on. But on the gameplay side, I think they really took some of the things that Doom Eternal did with the glory kills and made them much more fun. Because when it comes to those certain... They're like the regular enemies, like the show guy, or like some of the like not like the cannon fodder, but like the kind of enemies that are just there in case you need like health or ammo, but they still do some damage. And then there's more of the like elites that are around, but they also, as the game progresses, become much more frequent. But in Doom Eternal, you would do like a glory kill, and then you'd get like a little bit of stuff back. But the cool thing about these is that each separate elite has their own either special mechanic or something about them when you do a kill on them. For example, you have the Slinky Jakku, who is literally like an accordion slinky bouncing around all over the place.
Slinky dog.
And when you do that, you tear open like the insides and you pull out like a crank firework Gatling gun. And you're just cranking it away and just shooting all these fireworks at all the enemies, and it has like a cooldown. There's another one, the Oni Hanma, who's like a big brute type, and once you weaken him down, you actually punch his arm, breaking his bone off and like ripping the bone and like whatnot out of his arm and using it like a sledgehammer, slamming down and like creating a wave, hitting all the enemies. One of my favorites though is the Seeking Shokera, who is a floating enemy, and once you do the attack on them, you actually jump on their hat, pushing it down, and an eye pops out of the top hole, and it pops out flying around, hovers in front of your face, and all of a sudden all these razor sharp spikes come out of it, and then it starts flying around like Yondu's arrow, just absolutely hitting cool. all these enemies. They're really, some of them are really cool.
This also, it sounds like obviously different because like this is lighthearted and silly in a way, but this almost sounds like the way you're describing these like Mortal Kombat finisher-esque.
Kinda.
Of just like the bones and the gore and stuff.
Oh, it is nothing but gore. That's the whole thing. Just slicing at enemies and being full of gore. There's another one that's really cool is the Laser Shogun, who is like a floating like Shogun helmet with like a crystal core and whatnot that you got to break. And he'll shoot these lasers at you, but if you're able to take him out, you actually kick his face in, reach inside, and pull out this laser core from him, pull it out, and it's a disco grenade. So when you toss it, it floats up in the air and sends out lasers in all directions, spinning, just hitting all the enemies. And those things are just so much fun to play with. Where I'll just be attacking enemies, gathering up the essence I need in order to unleash it, and I'll find the specific elite that I'm looking for. I'm like, you get the fuck over here. I'm using your specific move, and I'll jump on them, do it, and then just use that to like take them all out.
Yeah.
And I'm actually playing this game on medium because I'm having fun with it and I want to challenge myself. I have died a few times, but in games like this where I really enjoy them, I'm like, all right, give me some of that challenge.
Is it as hard as, like, because, like, Doom Eternal, even on easy, was still, like, pretty challenging, at least for me.
That definitely feels like, well, a game like Doom Eternal had the time and effort put into certain balancing with enemies to, like, really get down the movement and stuff. In Shadow Warrior 3, it is not nearly as fluid and polished as, like, some of the movement and animations could be, like in Doom Eternal, but it does work. Like, it does work very well for itself.
Okay.
But there were some times where I was getting my ass kicked and had to restart. And getting used to the map layouts, because you will fall off the map sometimes and die, and it will restart that whole arena. And I was getting really mad because there's this one arena that I was in that I think I had to do 4 or 5 times, and it starts off with like 7 or 8 like suicide enemies running up to you ready to blow up. And as the way this game works, you get your different weapons, but they run out of ammo, and there's like pickups on the ground. So you have to run over, pick up, and or switch your weapon. And there's like a lot of that because I haven't necessarily upgraded my weapons to their full capacity yet. But there's a lot of that. And the most recent thing I did was I fought the Ancient Cock, which was the first big boss of the game. And
I have one of those.
Definitely pretty challenging. He looked like a giant rooster, like a rainbow rooster that's missing a lot of its feathers. And once I was able to defeat it, it got sliced in half. And, you know, like some roosters, they can live a little bit without their head. This one can live in 2 separate pieces. So the top part starts floating, and the bottom half...
That's what I was going to ask. Does the head start floating?
Well, this is like the torso up. So this is like the torso, the arms, and the head. That starts floating, shooting lasers at me. And the bottom half extends out these weird, like, hands part into an eye that's, like, above it. And that thing keeps running towards me and jumping, creating AoE blasts. And there's a lot to keep up with both of them. And it's one big health bar for the combined enemies. So as long as you're killing one of them, then, you know, you're good, but you have to keep focus on both. And then at the end, which I thought I was over, I had to do a parkour session to, like, use my grappling hook, get up, jump on top of these floating rocks, and hope they don't get destroyed by the laser until I can get, like, the final hit in. And then, like, the cutscene plays and, like, me taking it out. But that stuff is a lot of fun still.
Sure.
And it's so fucking funny. I love this game.
I mean, how do you feel about the fact that you're getting Shadow Warrior 3 and a new Borderlands all within the same month?
Oh my dude, this new Pokemon, new Shadow Warrior, new Dying Light, new Borderlands, new fucking more Pokemon.
We'll get to that.
But there's just Hogwarts.
This
it's going to be the best fucking year in gaming, dude.
And it's still crazy that, like, I have this long list of 2022 games. Of course, they're not all going to come out in 2022.
Oh, God, no.
Because that's just the nature. Yeah. But there's also games that we just don't know about that are coming out this year. So.
Oh, my God. And
like,
that's
we're not going to know until the summer, and then they're going to do, like, coming out this fall. Like,
what other fucking sequels are just going to be popping up out of the woodworks?
Who knows? I got one more. It's a very, very quick update.
Tell me.
On Ollie Ollie World.
Yeah.
I'm in the 4th out of 5 regions now, and I had to stop doing the high scores.
No, it's really getting to that challenging point.
It's so I'm still doing. So there's like different. All right, there's the main thing of like beat the level and then beat the level without using checkpoints. That's like one set of things. Then there's 3 challenges, and those are usually like high five these 2 characters, which you have to take like specific paths or like. Do this specific type of move over this specific point. Like those types of challenges, 3 of those. And then there's 3 high scores. That's like its own separate thing. And each one usually gives you like a new cosmetic if you do all of them.
Right.
The high scores, I am at the point now where I am doing from beginning to end of a level in a full combo, doing moves that I'm doing what I'm able to mentally and physically.
Yeah.
Like I could really practice, I'm sure, and get like super good at the game. But
I mean, that does remind me when I first started playing Pro Skater Remake, and I was like, I've never played these. I'm garbage. And then it got to a point where I was like, oh, I'm getting the fucking pro score in just this one little section just because I'm fucking great.
I'm able to one combo, and it's like from beginning to end of the level, and it's not enough.
Yeah,
it's like not even close to enough, really. And I'm just like, I could practice and get better, but
it's not that important.
It's not that important. It's a little like I have the moment of like, I need to just accept I'm not going to be able to do everything in this game, every single score. So I'm still doing the challenges for now. We'll see how that goes. But overall, like even not getting all the scores now, it's a lot of fun to play. And it seems to be like the perfect length because I'm maybe a third of the way through that fourth area. Then there's just a fifth area, and then like it's done unless I want to go back and do some more optional stuff. But perfect length, a lot of fun. I can't imagine I'm gonna have another update on this game unless I beat it.
Okay.
Go Wally World.
Go news. Go gadget news.
I thought, didn't you have one more or no? Was that it?
No, that was
right, because one of yours was Elden Ring.
Yeah.
News. Should we just start with the big one?
Sure.
Like the only big one from this week?
So, some people did. I didn't fucking see it coming that when Pokemon Day actually came around that they would announce fucking Gen 9. And not only that,
did people say? Because I didn't see it. I thought the big thing.
The only people that knew were the people that were working on the game and were setting it up. So people did know.
I really thought the biggest thing we were gonna get was like a DLC.
Yeah, which apparently we are still getting DLC, but it's gonna be a very minuscule, like
I
cosmetic
saw that,
or like little extra stuff, whatever. But holy shit,
this is not what we were expecting.
God, this like seeing that, and I just like because I was on the ferry at the time, and I was I got a notification, and I completely forgot it was Pokemon Day, and I called you immediately after the trailer was done, and I called you twice because you didn't answer because I was like I have to talk to somebody about this.
I was sleeping, and I was tired.
You woke up, and I'm like, hey, did I wake you up? You're like, yeah, what's up? And I go, there's new Pokemon games, Gen 9's coming, and this and that, and it's like Arceus, and he's like, really? So it's like as soon as you started to like peak up in interest, I was like, all right, I don't feel as bad now.
No, like I knew I was trying to there were a couple factors here. My girlfriend was sleeping and I was trying to like not wake her up.
Right.
And I was like, yes, that was very exciting.
Yeah.
But also I'm not fully awake.
Of course.
So I can't really match the excitement. So I'm just like, what?
Yeah, and I'm just
That's
like,
crazy.
It's holy shit. It's just like Arceus. It's even bigger. It's going to be a normal Gen 9 game and this and that. And there's new Pokemon and it's like, whoa. Holy shit. I gotta watch that.
Yeah, I was like, I'm gonna watch that later. And then we got off the phone and I went right back to sleep.
I mean, at least you watched it.
I did later that day. We watched that. It's
oh my god. Look, I completed Arceus. I put 65 hours into it. I loved it. Mm-hmm. This game I'm gonna put so much fucking time. It's holy shit. Like if Arceus was holy shit, then holy shit.
So I guess we didn't say it's Scarlet and Violet.
Sorry, Pokemon Scarlet and Pokemon Violet.
Back to the like typical two versions, like new gen, like that path,
which is interesting because you know, Arceus is what it was, and Pokemon usually is known for when they have those different variants to have variants in the games.
Yep.
And it's like, it's almost never been more tempting to want to get the double pack every single time now.
So, I wonder what this is going to do with certain. So like I know the two versions of the Pokemon games typically have like, you can only get this Pokemon in this version.
Right.
So Arceus had. You could get every single Pokemon without ever having to trade.
Yeah.
Every single one.
But that also felt like a very specific like circumstance.
Right. So that's what I'm thinking is are they still going to do that? But if so, why even have the two versions at that point?
Yeah. And and they haven't even showed us the legendaries, obviously.
We haven't seen legendaries.
We only know what the clothes look like on the different characters.
Yeah, there was a different starting outfit, which
that's showing the difference.
Really quickly. Like I didn't really look at it. It seems like they were very similar, just one was red and one was purple.
Pretty much. I think the red had stripes or something.
Okay.
Something like that. Who are you gonna pick as your starter? Out of those
I don't
brand new
remember the
three?
name, but it's the grass cat.
Sprigatito.
I'm gonna Sprigatito, if you know what I mean.
I also want Sprigatito. The other one, there's a fire crocodile called Fuecoco, and there's a what looks like a sailing duck as the water type called Quaxley.
Yeah.
Or Quaxley.
The other two to me don't feel like starters.
These
It's not that they look bad. They just
No.
look like they'd be just random Pokemon, not like a starting. Those are supposed to feel like unique, you know?
To me, this definitely isn't like their best work.
No, even the grass cat, which like, yeah, of course it's cute. It's a grass cat. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, look at it. How wrong could you go? But all I think about is the fire starting cat from not that long ago.
It will ultimately depend on what their final evolutions will be.
Yeah, which we don't know right now, but
No.
we'll see.
Which, I mean, just here comes another few months of more Pokemon leaks floating around the internet where people are not sure whether they're real or not, and then finding out years later that the ones that we all thought were fake were 100% genuine.
Yeah, I know people already worried that like the cat, instead of turning into like some sort of badass like all fours,
It'll
cat
be
thing,
like
it'll be like a humanoid standing thing with like big boobs, and, like,
Yeah.
which that like you think about recent starters and like the path they go on.
Yeah.
We had a bunny just turn into a soccer player.
Literally.
Like that's what it was. Yeah,
And
there's
a
no other way to put
a
it.
lizard turned into a spy, and a monkey turned into a drummer. And that's just what it was. But all right.
The quote that stood out to me was that towns will supposedly, they said, will have no borders and blend seamlessly into the wilderness.
Hopefully.
Which that words can always mean that could technically be true.
I'm curious if because some of the pictures they've shown had like Swablu sitting on like a what are they, just like a line of flags that were like hanging up decoratively, and I'm like, could you just like walk around town and just fucking catch those?
So I don't know, because they did say like this does seem to be much more modern times. You're not like in the ancient times anymore.
Right.
And they did say like Pokemon will be everywhere, just like in Arceus, like you're out in the wilderness or everywhere. But they also said including on the streets. So like, yeah, can you just catch those, or are those like people's Pokemon that like?
It would have to. It would have to depend. I could totally imagine walking down like an alley and seeing like some, say like a Meowth rooting through the garbage, and then just being like, all right, I'm gonna take you. I'm gonna take you home.
Yeah, it's crazy that like 2 weeks ago we were like, imagine a new one of these. This is what Pokemon should be in like modern times with towns and cities, and then just like, okay,
those pieces of shit knew exactly what they were doing. They had us all. They threw us all for a loop, and then they were like, "Ha, here you go."
This is like, it's insane how this is literally what you and I were clamoring for since Arceus, and then they're just like, here it is. Oh, and also this year.
Yep.
How are we getting two of these in one? Well, I guess technically three if you want to go that way, but
yeah.
How are we getting what? How does the year start with Arceus and then they're just like, yeah, we're going to give you another one?
I have no idea, and
Like,
I'm not going to, I don't want to jinx it because I want it so bad.
That even if it is early next year or something,
it's
still like,
yeah,
what?
It'll probably end up coming out in November, and then that's going to be all we're going to talk about again.
It typically takes years between like mainline Pokemon games. I know Arceus.
Maybe that's why Gen 8 sucked.
I know Arceus is not like mainline, if you will. Like it's not Gen 9 like this is going to be.
But no, Arceus is weirdly still Gen 8.
Yeah.
That's how that stuff goes.
But it was like, it didn't feel like a spin-off, you know?
No.
It felt like a big Pokemon release.
It felt like the origin story.
Right. And so it's just like it just blows my mind. So it's like, just add this to 2022. Like, yeah, we were just saying, oh, maybe the best Pokemon game ever was just released, and now we're getting another one.
The thing that I can't fathom is they've already shown so many Pokemon that are already going to be in this region, and just thinking about the amount that of brand new designs that we don't even know that are going to be such like we people who know Pokemon know Pokemon. You're playing Legends and it's like, oh, hey, here's this. Oh, that's cool. But now it's like, he was just a brand new fucking thing I've never seen before, and I'm genuinely excited. And I literally know nothing. That's gonna be mind blowing.
It's gonna be even more exciting because it's not just gonna be like I'm traveling in like classic Pokemon.
Yeah,
which is weird that's now we're calling that classic.
Yeah,
but it's not like classic Pokemon where you're going through like a patch of grass. The blinky lights start, you enter a battle, and like the picture slides on screen, and then you're like, oh, that's a new Pokemon. And instead, you're just going to be going through the world, and you're like, what the fuck is that?
Yeah.
And like kind of sneak around it and like try and check it out. Be like, what are you? Like, it's like that, which seems way more exciting.
I'm very excited. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah. Even without the differences, like we said, they could have just slapped the same thing on a different region.
Yep.
And we would have been all over it. But this is like almost 1-for-1 exactly what we were saying we wanted.
Look, I'm fine with the remakes and the remakes. Now do the remakes and remake all of them in the Arceus style.
Give me anything in this style and I'll just
I
play
wouldn't
it.
stop.
Yeah.
Especially, oh my god, just wait for the one day that we get like the
We're gonna leave that in.
Good timing though. The day that, like, you know how in Gen 2 you could go to like, you were in Johto and then you could go back to Kanto and like do that whole thing.
Yeah.
Just imagine just like an open universe of Pokemon and just going around.
Super Pokemon game where it's like every region.
The giant Pokemon MMO single player or whatever.
I mean, imagine an MMO like this. Imagine you and me strolling through the wilds, just catching these Pokemon together.
Mm-hmm.
That does sound cool.
Oh, it sounds really cool.
Is that the next step now? That's going to be what everyone's clamoring for?
Who knows? Maybe. We should talk about more news because we're only going to keep talking about Pokemon.
All right. I got something. I mean, nothing else compares to that. That's this.
No, these next ones are just going to be like, all right, boom, 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 boom.
Yeah, pretty much. Knockout City is moving free to play. On top of that, EA will no longer be publishing. The developer Velon Studios will self-publish.
Mm-hmm.
So no more EA. They did put out a statement saying like we wouldn't be able to launch without EA, but just time for different direction.
Yeah, which good for them.
Yeah, good for them. I'm sure it is true that they probably needed EA money to actually launch the game. This is going to take effect with Season 6 on June 1st. They said that there will be less content for Season 5 because of this drastic change. Mm-hmm. But Season 6, free to play, loads of content. This is one of those games we kind of said from the beginning. It should have just been free to play. So I think it came with PlayStation Plus the month it came out.
Yeah.
Which, like, if you have PlayStation Plus, it's kind of free to play, I guess. But, I know people say this game is fun. I can't imagine like buying it though.
It's not for me, but hopefully with that free to play, it'll bring up a whole bunch of new players that'll have fun with it.
Yeah, it seems. Yeah, like also not for me, but people seem to like actually enjoy this one.
I don't know. I can't remember if I mentioned this last week or not, but Life is Strange dev actually plans on developing and publishing their own and other developers' games. They want to bring out 8 games by 2025.
That's a lot.
That is a lot, especially from them who, I mean, the games that they do create, any narrative game like that with choices, you have to account for a lot of stuff and put time into, which if they have plans to release these stuff, I mean, they've done Vampire, they've done, that
was them?
Yeah. It's always weird when you see, because even like Telltale had made 7 Days to Die, which is just a completely different, like you wouldn't expect. Like it is surprising, but it's nice seeing them like delve out into other stuff. And I'm curious what other stuff they got going on in there.
Yeah, but like you're totally like it's making like one of those games. It's not like you're just writing a story. It's like you have to account for all the different choices and the impact, especially when that big impacts and like
you got to account for 3 million people's brains and like how they would make decisions.
Yep.
Yeah.
This one was a little funny to me. You see the whole Gabe Newell stuff
about him going personally.
He is supposedly. There's picture and video evidence, so I guess it is true.
Yeah, but anything could be staged.
So we'll get to that. He is around the Seattle area, just kind of going door to door and just hand delivering Steam Decks. They're just giving them out. There was like one story of like Gabe went to someone's house, hand delivered a Steam Deck, like signed it and gave it to them, and then someone next door was like, Gabe, and they were like, he was like, hey, how many people you got there? And they're like, there's 3 of us, and he's just like, here's 3 Steam Decks.
Oh man, I wish I lived in Seattle.
Yeah,
a lot of gaming stuff is in Seattle actually.
So like multiple pictures and like accounts of like people on Reddit are all saying like, yeah, this is real. Like here's my security, like my Ring door thing, the thing.
Weird.
Like here, there's a picture of Gabe right there.
Imagine just being at home and then Gabe Newell walks up and it's just like,
you're like excited for your Steam Deck and there's just fucking Gabe.
Hey, I'm Gabe and do you want this?
So part of this is reportedly Gabe had like a camera crew with him.
Of course.
So this is obviously gonna be, I don't know if it's gonna be like straight up a commercial, but it's gonna be a
documentary. Is this in the making of the Steam Deck?
It is totally like a publicity stunt.
Oh, of course it is.
But it is still cool.
Yeah.
It's funny just imagining just Gabe at your door, just here's a Steam Deck, and then the neighbors be like, hey Gabe, and he's just like, Steam Deck.
Yeah, because he feels like, I don't know, just the way he looks in general. It looks like he's always just kind of like slightly disinterested. So I feel like he's gonna come and be like, here you go. It's like, oh, thanks, Gabe. Okay, gotta go now.
Yeah. Yep.
Gotta go back to making games.
And then neighbors, Gabe, just okay, here you go.
All right. No, I gotta go now. Have fun.
Do you need an extra one?
Oh,
okay, bye.
Okie doke. Speaking of Valve, though, they also apparently have multiple games in the works right now.
Yeah, Valve is making a. Did you see? Oh, kind of tying into the Steam Deck that Gabe is just like
the desk thing.
Oh no, I don't know anything about that.
There's a little Portal Aperture desk job, like 30-minute game on the Steam Deck.
Oh no, so is that? Oh, is this the thing that I saw that was like technically there's a new Portal game out?
Yes,
and it was okay.
But I mean, I do want to play it because it does seem cool.
Sure,
and more Cave Johnson, which is great.
Valve, well, Gabe specifically was like, yeah, I am more than happy to work with Xbox to just put Game Pass on the Steam Deck.
Cool.
Wow. Because apparently his whole thing is just like, yeah, it's PC, it's Steam, we want to just be open. Like, yeah, we would love that.
Cool.
Which, that would be very cool.
That would be dope.
Anyway, what did it do? Do we know any info on these games?
Of course not.
Oh, okay. I don't know. I didn't even know that they had multiple.
Yeah. I mean, are they working on the third to any games? Who the fuck knows?
No.
Who the fuck knows?
You can't do a Half-Life 3.
You could do an Orange Box 2, which would if they did an Orange Box 2 and it costs like $180 and it came out with like Portal 3, Left 4 Dead 3 or like anything like that, I'd be like, yeah, I'm gonna buy that because that's like that I want it.
They're not gonna.
No, they're not.
You can't do a Half-Life 3. You can't.
No.
There's no way to do a Half-Life 3.
Other Half-Life stuff.
Yeah, like Half-Life Alyx,
which I still want to play.
Yeah, I want to play that too. But it's like Half-Life 3. There's nothing you could do with a Half-Life 3 that would work at this. It would just. There's no way it wouldn't be disappointing.
Yeah.
I only have one more news story here.
I got a few little things.
Stalker 2.
Yeah.
Is on hold. And their quote was pretty much, it's not word for word, but they're pretty much like, yeah, Stalker 2's on hold until Ukraine wins.
Like literally,
we're gonna win, and then we'll work on the game.
It's like, yeah, once we beat them, then we'll go back.
Yeah, which is like, okay, yeah, that's I love that confidence.
Yeah, I mean, I can only fucking imagine what it's like being in that environment.
Yeah, you see a lot of, I didn't pull them all up, but you see a lot of like game companies that, have people working in Ukraine, or like that's where the studio is based, basically being like, we're doing what we can to help them.
Yeah.
Like we're offering money. We're trying to support them because like this is terrible and like
fucking insane.
And like it's one of those things where like obviously game development is not the priority here.
No.
It's like, lives are the priority.
Which, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
I got a few little things left. Anthony Mackie has apparently joined as the lead to the Twisted Metal show, which is interesting. Mm-hmm. Which,
yeah,
I don't know.
Sure.
I know very little about Twisted Metal, and I don't know how that show would come out to be, but sure, there's that.
I can name 2 characters.
Sweet Tooth?
Yes.
And Truck.
I'm pretty sure his name was Axel. He was a dude with his arms out, like, straight out horizontally, connected to wheels, and that was him. It was just a dude between 2 big wheels.
I feel like I remember that.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think his name was Axel. I might be wrong, but the description is correct. I know that.
Okay. Next up, we got Housemarque. Dev behind Returnal is apparently working on a new IP.
Sure.
Since they're under PlayStation, it's probably going to be a PlayStation exclusive.
I would imagine so.
Based off the article that I read, it may or may not be along similar ideals as what they wanted Returnal to be. Maybe not necessarily a bullet hell game, but maybe not necessarily an easy game.
Okay. I don't know what it was about Returnal, like seeing it as it came out. It just kind of like was on like the cusp of interest before it came out, and then it came out and I saw it, I was kind of like, meh.
All of it disinterested me.
Yeah, like
bullet hell games, difficulty, just pain in the ass.
That's the thing, like, I'm fine with difficulty. Like I'm working my way through Elden Ring, but like I don't know, something about it was just really like everything about it was just kind of like I don't care. I just didn't care about the game, and I know people really liked it, but
I like the sci-fi aspect, and that was pretty much it. But that's not enough to get me to waste the money and then get really mad.
Yeah, I don't know what it was. It's just something about it didn't do it for me.
And finally, we got two little acquisitions. Netflix has bought Next Games. They're actually the studio behind the mobile Stranger Things Puzzle Tales.
Okay, is that a match 3 game?
So it's one of those like combative Candy Crush style things where it's like you match the stuff together to do damage.
Yeah, I know those.
It definitely looked like not at all what I expected. I was like, okay. But they bought that company for $72 million, I think it was.
Okay. Yeah. They must be turning a profit then, because that seems like a...
I mean, they're only going to be using them to make more games for Netflix as their service and whatever else they plan on doing. Plus, if they already made Stranger Things games, they already know what they're doing with Stranger Things. They want more Stranger Things games. And the other one we got here is, Bandcamp?
Yes. No. Wait.
Bandcamp, the website where they like music and like albums.
No,
and,
I was thinking of Band Hero.
No, Bandcamp.
No, I don't.
Epic Games bought them.
Okay.
Mainly adding them to their creator marketplace ecosystem, as they call it. Oh,
yeah, Bandcamp. It's where like indie artists like upload shit, right? Like their music and stuff.
Maybe. I just know it's a website that's like all about music and albums, and like there's albums of the day and like stuff like that. I've never really been to it, but they wanted to add them to their little ecosystem to be a place for content, technology, games, art, and music. I guess the way that it was described kind of sounds like they wanted to turn Epic Games into a platform slowly, almost so people can use it as like a dreams type thing and just make stuff and like use Epic as like the starting point.
Interesting.
That's what it seems like. And they said they're going to use Bandcamp for like music, technology, and like games and like some other stuff. So I guess we'll see what happens with that. And that would be the last of my news.
All right. Do you have Game of the Month?
So Game of the Month, it's difficult. I literally might have to say Pokemon again.
There's nothing wrong with that.
It was so good. There's been a lot that I was playing, but Pokemon really just kept me going after I fucking beat it and 100% at it.
If Shadow Warrior came out in February, do you think that would be your Game of the Month over Pokemon?
I really don't know, because I'm having fun with Shadow Warrior so far, and it hits like a certain spot for me, but in like the long term, I feel like Pokemon really made an impact.
Elden Ring for me.
Not surprising.
Not surprising. I'm raving about it. So, but yeah, Elden Ring, and then we'll see. There's gonna be multiple contenders for March, I guess.
Oh boy, I already have mine picked out.
I know what yours is gonna be.
Oh yeah. And finishing off, we got two little things left. Starting off, we got the Xbox games with gold releasing for the month of March. These are both going to be the Xbox One games. Starting March 1st to the 31st, we're getting the 31st. We're getting the Flame in the Flood, and from March 16th to April 15th, we're getting Street Power Soccer.
I never heard of these games.
I've heard of the Flame in the Flood, and I don't know Street Power Soccer because it's a sports game.
It sounds like you're on the street with some power and you're playing soccer.
That is very observant of you.
Thank you.
And for the 360 side, from March 1st to the 15th, we're getting Sacred 2: Fallen Angel. Sacred's a pretty good fun. They're like think of like Diablo if it was written by like a 10-year-old.
Okay.
That was when I played Sacred 3. I remember my only review of it was so many sex jokes, so many bad sex jokes. It was just so that, and I was like, whatever, it's just an RPG.
That sounds so not up my alley.
And finally, from March 16th to March 31st, we are getting SpongeBob's Truth or Square.
Okay.
Not terrible month, but nothing too exciting, really.
No.
And finally, notable game releases coming up. Both coming to March 4th. We have Gran Turismo 7 coming to PS4 and PS5, and Triangle Strategy finally releasing on Switch.
Those are two notable game releases. I was going to say I have no notable game releases, but that's because I'm not interested in those games.
I know,
but
mad.
They are notable.
I'm mad because I do have interest in Triangle Strategy after my time with Octopath and whatnot, but there's no way I can split myself into another giant RPG and this and that. There's too much.
Too many.
And luckily I will not be playing Gran Turismo 7.
No, me either.
Yeah.
Not our cup of tea, if you will.
Exactly.
Not our can of Monster.
Exactly.
We are both drinking cans of Monsters. Look. I spelt it all over my cheek.
I did not.
Completely missed. Oh, it's all in my pants. I look like a pee
you have
myself.
A drinking problem.
That sounds like something way worse.
Unless you've seen Airplane.
Okay, yeah, I have that type of drinking problem.
Exactly.
Where it misses my mouth. And I guess I am addicted to consuming fluids.
I mean, you would die.
Just like a living person.
Yeah. I'm addicted to being alive.
I'm so addicted to it. That's going to do it for us.
That'll be the episode.
We did it. Elden Ring, Shadow Warrior. We did it. It's going to be nice not having like a new big game this week.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of talking about like updates and stuff.
Yeah, next week I think it's just going to be a lot of updates.
I'll definitely have Shadow Warrior done by then because that is a short game and it's my focus right now.
I feel like I should play more than just Elden Ring to have more things to talk about.
Whatever your focus is. Look, Pokemon took over my life and I played nothing else. It's literally all I could think about.
All I want to do is play Elden Ring right now.
Do it.
It's all I want.
The people want to hear about Elden Ring and they're not going to hear it from me.
That is true. It's weird talking about Elden Ring because it's not a spoiler heavy game, but
it's still that's the thing. It's exploring. It's that feeling of coming across something.
So I don't want to give away I did talk about a couple, but they were both they were very early and
right.
You know, I didn't go into everything. So it's weird. How do I update a game? Do I just handpick little scenarios to talk about? I don't know. I'll figure that out.
Yeah, I mean, you'll come across something maybe wherever you are in the map or stuff like that.
Oh, there's the issue is not stuff to talk about. It's just not wanting to give away too much because that's the beauty of the game.
That's what spoiler alerts are for.
Spoiler alert.
Elden Ring.
We're ending the episode.
Spoilers.
Spoilers.
All right.
Goodbye, everyone. We'll be back next week.
Have fun. Stay safe. And
yes, those are important.
Feel better.
Don't get lost.
Don't count your eggs after you cook them.